So today we've had another excellent event organised by Sinn Féin's Commission on the Future of Ireland, hosted here in St Congles, focusing in on rights in a new Ireland. Agus Yeri an Imach Shaw is Jack ar Hawacht Carta na Sirenach, Don Nisbaracht era Intiha. And our discussion amplified the centrality of rights to the entire discourse around how we bring about constitutional change for all of our citizens on the basis of a new constitutional settlement, a new national democracy which is rights-based. The answers are always in the room. We had a brilliant discussion with the audience participation, and I look forward to how we take these conversations forward beyond this event and in terms of how we ensure that wider society becomes more engaged with the importance of citizens' rights and constitutional change. To begin, the 1916 proclamation is the mission statement for Irish Republicans. I think that can be said as a given. It is a freedom charter that echoes and indeed foreshadowed the content of the South African Freedom Charter, which was published some 40 years later. But a freedom charter for all the people of Ireland, which guarantees religious and civil liberties and made a major statement about the promotion of equal rights and opportunities for all citizens, and that was at the turn of the 20th century. It addressed Irish men and Irish women, and for me, one of the most notable sections of the proclamation is the reference to women at a point in time when, in Irish society and internationally, women did not have the vote and were largely invisible, but not so when it came to the promulgation of revolutionary and radical politics in that era. It's also a declaration of social and economic intent for a rights-based society in which the people are sovereign. And our party, Sinn Féin, is for a citizen-centred, rights-based society. That's the vision that we have of constitutional change. Not constitutional change for its own sake, but constitutional change which is rights-based, a rights-based constitutional settlement in a new Ireland. And equality, fairness and justice must be at the heart of that new Ireland.
One of the main points that I wanted to get across today, well, let's say it's two main points. The first main point is it's really time for economic, social and cultural rights to take centre stage. The right to housing, the right to health care, the right to food, the right to water, the right to an adequate standard of living and fair working conditions for all of us equally. It's time for us to put more emphasis on those rights than have ever been put before. So that's the first point. And the second point that I wanted to make was the time has passed for piecemeal, ad hoc constitutional amendments to the 1937 Constitution. I think what a positive referendum result, a referendum result that allows for constitutional change, gives us this amazing opportunity, less than a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make fundamental, comprehensive constitutional change. And I think that needs to be in the form of a comprehensive Bill of Rights.
So I'm representing CAJ, Belfast-based human rights group. The fact that we don't have a position on constitutional status doesn't mean that we won't be involved in these types of discussions, because there's a legal trigger for a referendum. That legal trigger is very close to being met, and there's going to be a blueprint for new constitutional framework. And from the perspective of the rights sector, if it's going to embrace rights and it's going to be a vehicle whereby everyone's rights can be respected, we're going to have to heavily input into that. Otherwise you could end up with a blueprint where a lot of the rights issues are marginalised. My sense today is there's a lot of energy around that conversation, but there's a lot of detailed work and thinking in all sorts of quarters that hasn't yet been done.
It was a wonderful conversation today about the journey we're on towards a new Ireland, and I really appreciate the invitation to be here. Essentially what we were talking about today is transformative change, of making a real difference and finding out and listening and engaging about what it will mean in practical terms for equality, human rights, climate justice and social justice, really about creating the new Ireland that so many people want to see. The main thrust was, I was trying to say, this is an opportunity, this is a great opportunity to be involved in a discussion about transformative change, about creating that new Ireland where rights and equality and justice are at the absolute front and centre of the conversation. Ultimately, what I was trying to do was encourage people to join in across the island of Ireland to be part of the discussion to help to shape it.
Well, it was a very, very lively discussion that we had this morning, and we crossed a lot of very, very different issues, which ranged really from all kinds of issues to do with human rights, from prisoners' rights, for example, to questions about disabilities or children's rights, thinking about what would really happen in that move towards a unified Ireland. People want to know what their benefits are going to be, what's going to happen. Will they have more, will they have less, will they lose out, will they gain? So we've talked a lot about how do you ensure that people have access to information and understanding and awareness. How can we build that understanding? How can we have civic engagement that really involves everybody in even understanding that this new Ireland that we're building needs to be, must be, and will be built by everybody. That it will not be and should never be just an Ireland of the few, of the rich, of the powerful. And it is we who are organising on the ground who have to move that forward. And I think that came through very strongly today with so many very practical questions about social rights and economic rights and cultural rights. And I think it was a very productive discussion. The point I'll finish with is a very important one. This is great to see this happening in the north, and we need to do it in the south as well. I'm from Dublin. I know that there is a kind of relaxed attitude about things, but people don't really understand and they don't really get involved, and we need to work together. We need our campaigning groups, our civil society groups to come together to have these conversations in common about how we build this new Ireland, an Ireland focused on equality and human rights for everyone.